This is my entire foundation, skin tint, concealer, and mix-in collection. So any products that I use to help make things darker, more glowy. If you couldn't already tell, foundation is really the foundation of my channel. I absolutely love reviewing foundations in specific, and that's really where my channel started. I was always on the hunt for a foundation that would look like skin but still give great coverage. And as far as concealers go, I have quite hollow under eyes, and there are a lot of concealers that don't work for me, and yet I still try almost every new launch in hopes that more brands will come out with deep set eye friendly concealers. So the way I'm going to be doing this declutter today is I'm going to be keeping products that I love, of course, and then I'm also going to be keeping products that I'd like to reference for my makeup library. And the makeup library is essentially a tool that I have to give you guys better reviews. I keep formulas in specific that I might not like them, but I keep them in order to reference them because they are a hot product. They could be a product that went viral. They could also just be a standby product for so many people. So a product that comes into mind is like Estee Lauder Double Wear. I keep those products in the library in order to give you guys comparisons, and comparisons are another thing that I really love on my channel. So if all of this sounds good, if you are ready to buckle up for quite a long declutter, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. And my name's Amanda. If you're new here, I would love to have you back. If you're really into detailed reviews, if you love comparisons, if you're looking for some complexion that's really skin-like but still gives some good coverage, that's what I'm all about. So I would love to have you back. You know what they say about decluttering is you start with something small to make you feel good? I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start over here in this little box so that I don't get too overwhelmed. This feels manageable, doesn't it? Now, first on the docket is a holy grail foundation for me, and I would even say might be one of the best foundations in the world. And I gotta say, I don't say that lightly. So the Shiseido Radiant Lifting Foundation is one of the best foundations because it is kind of the epitome of balance. Shiseido has actually done something very innovative here. Before I jump into my spiel, I have two shades here. I have the shade 140 Porcelain, which I do like if I want to go with something a little bit more neutral. It's a little more neutral, slightly peach. And then we have Opal, which I also like. I do have a neutral skin tone, so I can kind of get away with both. But you can see that one is a little bit more yellow in comparison. I have to tell you guys, really the true innovation here in this formula is in the self-refreshing quality. Now, not a lot of makeup gets better and kind of refreshes itself throughout the day while also looking great upon first application. That typically I have found in the past is kind of the toss-up. You know, you have makeup that gets better as you continue to wear it, kind of warms up with your skin, but upon first application it might not look absolutely perfect. But this not only looks great upon first application, I do find that throughout the day it kind of rehydrates, melts back into the skin. I never find that it sits in any fine lines that I have. I would highly recommend the Radiant Lifting for those of you with mature skin. And in general, if you want something that's a touch more radiant but not crazy dewy, you really can't go wrong. Again, guys, it's one of the best for a reason. And I do have the original Shiseido foundation. That one's a little bit better for combo to oily skin. They really have a formula for anyone, which is great. And I think it's around here somewhere, hopefully. But yeah, so stay tuned for that later in the video, but this will definitely be keeping both. and honestly have repurchased many times. Now, something that you will find about my channel if you're new here is that I absolutely adore finding incredible drugstore makeup, but I never recommend drugstore or affordable makeup for the sake of it being affordable. I think it's just counterintuitive, and I want you guys to be able to spend your money on a formula that is truly perfect for you. With that in mind, the NYX Blur, the Bear With Me Blur, this just did not get along great with my skin. Not only is the shade a little bit odd, obviously shade is really important. This is the shade Too Fair. Something about the foundation just didn't get along well with me. I do think that this is way more geared towards oily skin. Obviously, it says right here, it's a blurring tint foundation, matte and blurred finish. I actually think that, the problem with blurring foundations and blurring complexion products in general is that you have to get the formula right, and a lot of people have different needs. And I did recently talk about this. I just feel like some products with too much silicone actually have the opposite effect and end up looking more textured. And I think it's a really beautiful thing when a foundation can hone in that balance. And I certainly have lots of those recommendations for you guys, even at an affordable price point. But for me personally, in my skin, this one did not work for me. And I do plan on keeping it to do an upcoming don't buy this video, because I don't think I've done a full review of this yet. It won't be staying in the collection after that, but for now it will be for that video. Now, this new foundation from Laura Mercier is the Weightless Perfecting Foundation. Same thing. I don't want to give away all my thoughts on all these upcoming videos, but let's just say same thing. It's going in the same pile. Now, this is the absolutely iconic Estee Lauder Double Wear. I will be keeping this for an upcoming video where I actually test out all of your holy grails. This was one of the products that kept coming up, so I have been testing it out. If you still want to be included in that video, make sure that you leave your ultimate holy grails that you don't think I've tried down below. I'm going to keep one of these for the makeup library, and then one I'm going to pass along the Charlotte Beautiful Skin. This was one of those launches last year that, God, I was so excited for this, especially because I've had a lot of misses within Charlotte Tilbury's complexion line as far as the foundations, the powder products. The creams I tend to get along with, but this unfortunately just did not give me the blur that I wanted. I just felt like even though it was thin, I still would notice it on my skin a little bit. Just lacks that kind of it factor, if you will, that I think is really important with a foundation. So this is the shade 2. And I think that this is the shade that I'm going to be keeping. It's too neutral. I don't find that to be neutral, but a lot of brands do that. And this is the shade 3. And even though that has a better undertone, I think, for me, you can see as you continue to let them dry, they do, dry down a little bit and get a touch darker. I think I'm going to keep the shade 2 for the makeup library. And then over here we have shade 3 that is going to be decluttered. My first true declutter of the video. That feels good. Now, a product that I still need to test, so it's going to be staying with me, is the Kosas Glow IV. Now, from what I can understand, this is kind of the same vibe as Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter, or the Auric Glow Lust. Let me give you a little swatch of this one. This is the shade, this is the shade Revive. And it is actually quite a thin texture, the way that the Hollywood Flawless Filter is, but I am noticing what a lot of other people have said is that I do kind of notice those glitters. Like, there are actual glitters in here. Now, they're fine, but there just happens to be a lot of them. I think that they could have cut down. They could have done like half the glitters and then it wouldn't have been an issue for anyone. And then this is the shade number 1, within the Flawless filter. Now, something that I see immediately is that there's just more radiance and glow from like a dewiness via the Charlotte Tilbury, and the Glow IV just has this flat note. It's a little bit thinner, and I just have a feeling, you know, I still need to test it, but it just feels to me more like a liquid highlight necessarily than one of these hybrid formulas, even though it's in these skin tone oriented shades. And I want to see if you guys can really notice this. Over here on the Glow IV side, you can just see all the little crackles in my skin. Not, you know, they're normal. It's just texture. But over here, the Charlotte Tilbury just glides right over them and it looks more radiant, like truly radiant. That is a dead giveaway to me, you know, when I'm thinking of first impressions, when I go into Ulta, Sephora. These are the kind of things that I look for to decide if I'm going to test items or not, or just buy in general. And this is kind of a dead giveaway to me that a product that I already have and love might work better for me. So though I am keeping this, you know, I have my eye on it. And I also will definitely be keeping the Flawless filter. I think it's an incredibly innovative product, personally. It was the first of its kind, and as a liquid highlight on top of foundation, I think it's one of the most natural. Now, as a mix-in, there are others, or one in specific that I'm thinking about right now, that I actually like more. So I will point that out as we go on with the video. Next, we have a newer launch from Revlon. It is the Skin Caring Foundation, the Illuminance Foundation from Revlon. I have two shades. This is the first shade I picked up, 105. It is too light for me, so that, oh my gosh, hold on a second. Do you guys see all the glitter that the Kosas left behind on my hand right now? That, what? I really have to try and get this off. I might have to go wash my hands. All right. Pause for a moment. Yeah, I had to go ahead and, yeah, wash my hands. So this is the shade 105 from Revlon. Oh my gosh, I can still see these little freaking glitters everywhere. That's so annoying. But yeah, this shade is too light for me, so I will be decluttering this. I definitely know of some people in my life that would really like to try this formula. So this is being decluttered. However, you are staying. This is the shade 117. I really could not be happier with this formula. Of course, I told you guys I'd be promising some affordable recommendations in here. And as far as a very, very lightweight skin tint kind of product, you know, it's certainly more light coverage. It's not going to give you a ton, but if you really want that truly skin-like, close to the skin effect, I think that this is such a good launch from Revlon. I found that it does give a very soft blur for also being very thin. I really need to pull it back out, and I have a feeling that especially for summer, you know, when you want something a little bit more lightweight, I think that I'm really going to enjoy it for those days. So you are being kept. Now, a more affordable foundation, or BB cream, I should say, that I was so excited for, and I will be keeping for an upcoming K-Beauty video, but this is the Purito Cica Clearing BB cream. And I gotta tell you guys, this is just very creamy. It's very creamy on the skin. I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to tell from these swatches, you know. This is the shade 13 Ivory, at least that will be helpful. I don't know if you can see from like down here, my skin's a little bit more dry on this side. I just notice the dryness more over here. So even though it does look quite dewy right now, it has like this kind of whipped thick thing going on that I just am not used to with. I'm just not used to that with a lot of K-Beauty BB creams. Typically they can have some heft to them, but at least they look really skin-like. And I just found that overall this one did not get along well with me. So it's going to be kept in the makeup library for an update video on a bunch of K-Beauty I've been trying. Another reason to subscribe if you know, you're into K-Beauty. I myself am, so I would love to share all these upcoming reviews I have with you guys. Jeez, I'm not even done this first box. I think it's time for a Diet Coke break. Listen, I am not advocating for this. I'm just saying that if you haven't had a Diet Coke before noon in a while, I'm not saying try this. I'm just saying it hits different. This Etude House Double Lasting Foundation is actually one that I am going to be reviewing very soon for you guys, so I am going to be keeping it. I don't want to get into that one. I'll save it for that video, but this is a product that I have been mentioning here and there this year. It's the Beauty Blender Bounce Skin Tint. I found out about this from Kathleen Lights. I really love it. It feels to me way more like a very liquidy kind of serum foundation, but it has this beautiful dewiness. They call it the Always On Radiant. That to me really rings true. It lasts really well and it has a really pretty radiance to it. I have the shade Light 3, and though this shade isn't perfect for me, it's just a touch too dark. I actually kind of like that about it, you know, when I'm feeling a little pale. But you know, I never hear people talking about this. She mentioned it in a favorites video, and ever since I wore it, I just got this really seamless, I want to say kind of a velvety look, though it's not velvety necessarily. It's just, it has a perfecting quality to it that I really love, and you'll find throughout the video that that's what I really love about foundations is, you know, or skin tints, complexion products that can really add this other element of blur, perfection, whatever the case may be. And this to me definitely does that. So you are going to be kept, I don't know why I keep talking directly to my makeup products. It is way too early in this video to be off my rocker. Another product that I'm going to be keeping, but I have a bone to pick with, is this Neutrogena Sensitive Skin Serum Foundation. This is so beautiful for any of you that need a recommendation for a very, very sheer skin-like product. It just gives you a little bit of a tint. Think of it kind of like the Glossier skin tint. It's not going to give you a ton of coverage. It's not even necessarily super blurring. It just looks like your skin just a little bit better, and I really, really enjoy it. Unfortunately, the packaging, it just grinds my gears. I mean, look at how messy it gets. It somehow gets even messier than the one that I just showed you from Beauty Blender. But as a whole, especially if you want to shop at the drugstore, or for me, I really like recommending these products for in a pinch makeup. I don't know if you guys can relate to this. Like, you pack up all your stuff, you go travel or something, and then you're like, crap, I somehow forgot to pack a foundation. Whether or not I'd like to admit this, I have definitely done that a few times, and I love to go out and purchase affordable products in those situations that I know I love. This is definitely one of those products. It's just going to give you that nice, sheer, pretty look. You are, okay, this is staying. And look guys, the last product in our box. That feels good. This is the Butter Glow Liquid Highlighter. Now, I could keep this with the liquid highlighters. Actually, you know, I also have the liquid bronzer. I keep this with all of these products as a mix-in to make things darker. All right, I might as well just talk about this now. This is the shade Bronze. I keep this to, again, make things a little bit darker, especially going into the summer. It's nice to have a product like this. And by the way, you know, this could also be a more affordable option to something like the Deep Bronzy from Drunk Elephant, which everyone is crazy over. But yeah, so I keep this with all of my foundations for that reason, and I will be keeping it. However, I don't think that this, I don't foresee myself using this as a mix-in, so I'm going to actually kind of, I'll keep it over here for now, but I don't think it should be here. All right, I feel good about that. Let's start to put in our Declutter foundations in here. Okay, so 2. All right, I feel like I need to do better. Just keeping in mind that some of these are also going after those upcoming videos. All right, so here is our next box. Let's see, what do I want to start with? You know what, let's start here. This is an old favorite of mine, the Makeup Forever Reboot Foundation. It's just one of those products that never steers me wrong. I have loved it for so many years. This is the shade Y218. And I gotta tell you guys that if you are a fan personally of products like MAC Face and Body, this to me is a very similar product to those, except it was one of the first products that I ever used in this vein that actually gave me a blur that I just was not expecting. It has a little bit more cosmetic elegance, I think, than some typical skin tints would. If you are a skin tint person in general and you haven't tried this, I would not be afraid of it. I think that it is absolutely beautiful. I haven't used it in a while, and this video is definitely reminding me to go ahead and do that. But yeah, if you're looking for just a very thin on the skin tint kind of product that also gives this beautiful blur and illuminance, I definitely think that you should check this one out. You see how I only pumped out a little bit? I can't even see where the product starts and stops anymore. It's just very pretty. This is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Tinted Moisturizer. I actually like this, especially for days when I want something very thin, but I also want it to last. I do find that this will last really well. I wish it was just a touch more dewy, but I can still do that like as a mix-in with other products. I can add something, you know, a glowy primer under this and it looks really nice. But in general, this is just really old now, so that's why it needs to go. Okay, here we have two of the new Say foundations. I'm actually not going to stay here for too long on these because I did just do that video, but I will give you guys some swatches. This is the shade 4 and this is the shade 3. So I think that this is such a unique and pretty foundation. I just think it's kind of a step above some of those typical skin tints like, let's see, like the Ilia one. I'll talk about this in a second. It has a really beautiful thin texture. Update though to the video that I did, I realized later, one of you guys let me know and I was so thankful, is that both on the Say and Sephora website, they do not list the ingredients by the concentration of them. They list them, I believe, in alphabetical order, or that's what it seems to be. They didn't get back to me. And I found that personally to, like, it didn't sit right with me. I absolutely do love the formula, and I enjoy the way it looks. I will continue to use it, but that is, in my opinion, something that they should change. Just own up to your formulas. The product is good. You don't need to do that. Another product that I'm going to be decluttering is the Cosmetics Daydream Cushion Foundation. This has served me for a while and I do really like it. It's completely dried out though. This is the shade Fair. I mean, you can even barely see that swatch. It's really nice. I actually think it has a very balanced finish to it, but this needs to go. Another product I'm going to be decluttering is this Tinty Doll Ultra Wear Care and Glow from Lancome. I was so excited to try this out, but unfortunately I didn't think it was anything super special. Aw, do you guys hear the birds? It just stopped raining and I'm pretty sure that all the birds are coming out now. But anyway, so the Lancome also has this really intense smell to it. And when I'm dealing with a really intense smell, it just makes me feel like that's not feeling like a Care and Glow for my skin. You know, too much fragrance is not great. So I am going to be passing this along. Okay, let's see. What do I want to test next? Oh, this is an easy out for me. The Tom Ford Traceless Soft Matte Foundation. I know some people really love it, but this just looked so heavy on me and did not set down. So I felt like you know, those foundations just feel like they're getting everywhere. You don't even want to give your friends a hug because like they're gonna end up with foundation on them. That was this product for me. And at this price tag, it is a huge buyer's beware for me. So this is going to be decluttered. And interestingly enough, though I do think that this is a product that could potentially be good for my makeup library in a sense of comparing this to other luxury foundations, because this foundation is so one note, I don't feel the need to test it again. It's heavy, it transfers very easily. There's just not there's no nuance to it, so it doesn't feel to me like it needs that, if that makes sense. This is definitely a foundation I'm going to be keeping, the Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. What a beautiful product this is. It's just one of those very softly luminous foundations that give you this gorgeous blur and still very lightweight, beautiful in photography. This isn't the kind of product for those of you that want a ton of coverage, because I don't think that this product is necessarily about coverage. I think it's about faking good skin texture to make your skin look more perfected rather than necessarily adding that pigment and coverage, which I really like. I like that idea, though, I mean, honestly, I love a medium coverage through and through. This to me is more buildable, like light to buildable. But you know what? I think that it is a cult favorite for a reason. I always like, you know, on those days where you just need to put something on and know it looks good, I have found myself reaching for this. This is the shade 1.5, which is a good shade match for me as well. I can't wait to talk to you guys about the concealer. Spoiler alert, it is one of the only concealers that I will put on under my eyes. That is to say, this is definitely a foundation that I recommend. Now, a product that I still need to test that I feel like I don't even have, like I don't know what to say about it. Summer Fridays, it's the Sheer Skin Tint. It is quite liquidy. I actually really love the packaging. It's very sleek. It feels on brand for them. The dropper isn't annoying or messy. Here is a swatch for you guys. This is the shade, let's see, 1. It's quite dewy. It's very sheer. And they call it a sheer skin tint. You know, to me, this makes sense and very in line with what they do. I just want to see if there's something different about it, you know, especially at this price point. Not that it's super expensive, but you know, at this price point, I expect a little bit more. What are we paying for? Are you giving us a little bit of technology that's a little bit different and fun and performs? So yeah, it does say to shake well. Did I shake? I don't know. I think I might actually wear this today and give it a test because I'm not wearing any makeup yet. So that will be staying in the collection. I need to pick up the pace. Oh geez, I feel like I've not gotten anywhere. All right, so this is a very easy yes from me. The Misha Perfect Cover BB Cream. This is the shade 21. I'm just gonna say, and I do wanna do a whole like revisit on this foundation, or BB cream I should say. It's still one of the best products. I've used it for years, stopped using it for like a couple years, or at least a year and a half, and then I decided to pick it up again, and wow, am I happy that I did that. It's absolutely gorgeous, dewy, great coverage, looks so good on even the most tired, dry skin. And by the way, if you guys are shopping any K-beauty, I do have, I think I still have a 20% off code with Stylevanna. So I'll leave it down below for you guys. So make sure to go check out that code in case you want to purchase anything. But just know that this is a top rec. This is another product that I will be covering in an upcoming video. It's the Studio Skin, I believe it's called. And of course, the rest of it is in Korean. But this is a very perfecting foundation, more in line with something I think personally to like double wear, or almost, it reminds me of the Bare Minerals Bare Pro, actually more so. It does have a little bit more glow than like double wear does. But yeah, I have to keep this for that upcoming video. However, I will be decluttering the Liss Triple Fix Serum Foundation, I think, just because this shade is just not good for me. It's LG3, And I do like this formula. It's a little thicker than I would typically like, but once it's on the skin, I think it looks nice. It's just very yellow, and I often notice that when I'm wearing it, I notice it. So I might actually pick up another shade of this, but also with so many foundations that I already have, and this being a product that I am not finding people really ask me about, I don't even know if I'll repurchase it necessarily. However, I do like it. This shade match, though, is not working for me, so I am going to declutter it. All right, we have a lot of different products to go through still. This I will be keeping. It's the e.l.f. Acne Fighting Foundation. I know a lot of people talk about their flawless finish, but I would highly suggest you guys check this out. I think it's better. It sits a little bit closer on the skin, and I think it lasts better in general. So unfortunately, the shade range is not there. This is the shade Porcelain, and it's a little too dark for me, but in the summer, because it lasts really well, I find myself reaching for it. It also has salicylic acid in it if you are dealing with some breakouts. In general, I would love to see e.l.f. come out with some more complexion. I know a lot of people love a ton of e.l.f. complexion. I haven't been a fan of their CC cream necessarily. I do really love their brightening wand, but I want to see more from e.l.f. So I will be keeping this, a complexion product that I do love from e.l.f. And I did reference this product when I was talking about a product that I love even more than Flawless Filter. It is the Halo Glow Liquid Filter. This is the shade One Fair, and I have just found consistently that this is a product that I reach for to use all over the face, to mix in, not necessarily as a liquid highlight, only because it just truly has this beautiful glow. It's a little bit thicker than the Flawless Filter, and I ran out of memory on my card, had to offload all of the footage, and now I'm back. So I don't even know what I was saying about this. Something that I know I wanted to say is that as a liquid highlight, I do prefer the Flawless Filter. As a mix-in and more of a primer product, I prefer the Halo Glow. And I tend to reach more for this one because I'm not using liquid highlights every day. So hopefully that's helpful, but I am keeping both. Okay, we gotta cruise along here. Let's kind of pull out a bunch of products. Let's do a little comparison, just because they happen to all look very similar. So let's kind of go through all of these really fast, kind of speed review styles. So the Say Slip Tint, I feel like the new foundation is just so much better. Hold on, this does not want to pump out. There we go. This is the shade number 2. Not a bad shade match for me either. Really nice and glowy, but it doesn't wear super long. And in general, it's just not really a product I would consider necessarily for really long-term perfected makeup. It's just not a longevity focused product in my opinion. However, it does have SPF 35, and this is one of those products that I could potentially see you using as a sunscreen. Do I see myself using it as a sunscreen? No. And I should say, and they did send me the exact one completely new. So I'm going to use this product as a reference. So it's going in the makeup library, and then I'm going to declutter this one. Moving right along, I have not given this enough of a go, so I am going to keep it. It's the Complexion Crush from Ulta. This is Fair Neutral. Yeah, I just really want to try this out a little bit more. The texture feels really nice. The shade is good for me. But yeah, I just have no opinion of it yet. I remember it being maybe reminiscent of like the Cosmetics CC cream. So if that, like this ends up being, you know, that kind of alternative product I can recommend to you guys, then that would be awesome. But for now, I'm going to keep it. I need to keep testing that one out. I really need to remember to test that one. The Tula Radiant Skin Brightening Serum Skin Tint. This is super glowy. This is the shade 05. I really like this shade in particular. And in general, this skin tint has a really nice shade range from what I remember. This is just like very, very radiant skin. For me, this is definitely one of those products where if your skin, you just feel like it's not doing really well and you don't want to fuss around with a lot of makeup products. You just want kind of a in and out the door, dewy product. I think that this one is a good option. However, I do wish that they didn't use the chemical filters in this because I can smell them. Not necessarily because of, you know, my skin gets along okay with a lot of chemical filters, but in particular, this one just does not smell awesome, I've found, as I've continued to wear it. So I think that that's something to keep in mind. All right, now on its own, this product is too glowy for me at this point. It's the Huda Beauty Glowish Multi Dew Skin Tint, and this is the shade Fair Light 2. The reason I keep this is, well, one, the fact that this is a fair light shade is, I don't know, it feels a little bit dark to me for being a fair light shade, but it is quite glowy, and I do like it to mix into products to make them a little bit darker. You know what? It is one of the most glowy products I've ever tried. I feel like, you know what I almost feel like? If Huda Beauty had marketed this the same way that e.l.f. marketed the Halo Glow Liquid Filter, they might, I feel like more people might be talking about this. So that kind of makes me interested in this again. Yeah, I think I want to keep this. I have an idea for a video brewing in my head, and I'm also going to be keeping the Tower 28 Sunny Days, and this is the shade Melrose, 15. This is a great one, and you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, guys, I think I'm going to declutter this one from Tula, because now that I have these two next to each other, I think the Tower 28 is a mineral sunscreen, and I feel like it's a little bit less dewy. That's the shade 15. So I think, yeah, I'm gonna declutter the Tula one because I think now that I'm seeing everything in my collection, I prefer this one. All right, a little bit more progress here. Now, I also will be decluttering the Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint in Talam, just because this is, oh my god. No, we're not even going there. Yeah, this is going in the trash. It has definitely expired, and that's why I was going to declutter it. Oh my god, I wasn't expecting to see that. Anyway, this is why decluttering is so important. Anyway, but yeah, I actually really do like the formula, and I think it's nice just for those skin tint kind of days. It is also a product that does have that SPF that is physical in here, but I do think I prefer the Tower 28 maybe slightly, so I would kind of guide you towards that one rather than this one. I think there are other things that I like more now, so this is going to be going in the trash. That was very chunky. We'll leave it at that. You know, this is a product I don't talk about a lot, but I feel like I should bring it back out and start talking about it again. It's the Ulta Beauty Moisturizing Foundation Stick. I really hope they still make this. It has this really nice kind of cooling feeling to it when it goes on the skin. This is the shade Light Cool. And I just find that for an affordable stick foundation, it looks really skin-like and natural. This is not one of those products that you want to use if you have more oily skin or you're just expecting a stick foundation that gives a lot of coverage necessarily. But as a kind of throw it in your handbag kind of product, this is really good. So I will be keeping that. I also will be keeping my RCMA color palette. Love this one. This is the KA palette. I think I might do another overview on cream foundations for you guys upcoming. If you guys want to see that, let me know. I have the RCMA, the Monica Blender over here. I also have the Jones Road What the Foundation. So I'm not going to stick here for too long and kind of go over all this because I think I want to do that video. But again, you guys let me know down below. But I will be keeping the Monica Blender cover. I think that this is the shade Two's Way. I love it. I think that it's a very unique product. As I've continued to use it, I wish it wore like a little bit longer, but I think for wear time, I would tell you guys to reach for the one from RCMA. It's similar texture, just a little bit creamier, lasts a little bit longer. There is something so beautiful and skin-like about the Monica blender cover. So I will be keeping those, and I'm also going to be keeping the What the foundation from Jones Road. This is not my favorite, but it is one of those library items that I feel like I need to keep. It's so interesting that this product went viral. I just never would have, I mean, I understand why. And honestly, it is really pretty on the skin. I don't have a ton of complaints about it necessarily. I just think that it's not, I just think that there are other cream foundations that I like more. And there's also products that give me a similar vibe to this that aren't as inconvenient to put on the skin, which I think is really important with makeup, but I am going to keep it for that upcoming video. And honestly, I do want to revisit it in general. All right, we're down to the home stretch, and then we are all done with this box. Then we have to go to the big box. Oh God. Here we have the Rare Beauty Positive Light Tinted Moisturizer, and this is the shade 16C. I will be keeping this, but with the caveat that I need to keep trying it. For some reason, this one has gotten buried. You know how you're using a product and then it kind of gets lost and you're not really sure why? I need to figure out if this formula isn't my favorite or if it just has gotten lost in the shuffle. So I need to put that on my radar again. The Cogendo Aqua Foundation, this is the original packaging, and I've kind of kept it for that reason. But here's the thing, guys. It doesn't really serve me necessarily to keep this old packaging unless I planned on putting my new formula in here, which I don't. So I am going to declutter this. More on the Cogendo Aqua to come. I'm sorry, it's a bad habit of mine to say Cogendo, and I know that's not right. It's Cogendo. Okay, guys, you know, the declutter pile is not looking half bad. But this last item needs to go in there. It is the LA Girl Tinted Foundation. It's just meh to me. It just doesn't spark any feeling for me. I mean, I guess I could give it another go, but honestly, the last time I used it, I felt like it just kind of looked dry on me. You know, it could be a foundation match thing, but I could have sworn it looked dry. Either way, I don't think this is a good shade match, so I am going to declutter it. And now for the finale. Oh, Jesus, take the wheel. Let's just jump into these. I already know I'm keeping the Jones Road, so we will keep that over there. I'm actually going to put all of the ones I know I'm keeping in this other box really fast. Okay, so these are all the ones that I am keeping for now, all packaged up in this first box. And now let's move on into the other box. By the way, that's not including these other kind of library items that I talked about. That's just a few of them. Alrighty, and another library item is the Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Foundation in the shade 2N. I will keep this in my library, I think, for another month or two, and then I have a feeling I'm going to pass it along. This is just, it was a bummer because I think it applies pretty nicely, but it is just, it's not the one for me. The sparkles just sit on my skin and it really exaggerates texture. The shade 2N though is not bad for me. But yeah, I gotta be honest, Makeup by Mario was one of the most exciting brands for me for a really long time. I really love the vision, but the last few launches, and I'm not talking like the last 3, like in recent memory, a lot of the launches have been disappointing me, and I don't know why that is. It just feels like there's always something a little off. I don't know what it is. It almost feels like they need to just slow down, and that the first few launches from them were so good because they had spent so much time with them. And then they come out with a foundation with literal glitter in it. I don't know, that is so disappointing to me. And then the Ethereal Eyes palette, again, was something in concept. Like the concepts are there. It's just the formulations that are not following through. So yeah, but honestly, this was a big bummer for me, just being honest. So for now, it's going in the library as a reference product in case people keep asking about it, but I also haven't really heard many people talk about it, so it might just end up getting decluttered to someone else. I'm also going to be decluttering this Clinique Moisture Surge CC cream. I actually don't think there's anything wrong with it necessarily. It's just not my perfect shade, and it's honestly almost out anyway. I don't find myself reaching for it. So I think I'm going to pass this along. I am also going to be decluttering the House Labs foundation. This did not get along well with me. It looked a little bit too dry on my skin in general. I really love this package though. But yeah, I don't know what it was. It just sat so awkwardly on my skin. I really wanted to love it. I really did. But my skin was just not connecting to this formula. It always looked a little heavy. So I think someone else will get along better with it. This is a new product that I just picked up yesterday, the Tarte Maracuja Juicy Glow Foundation. This is very interesting. I'm not gonna say much about it because I want to do a review for you guys. This is the shade 12N Fair Neutral, which I don't consider that a neutral shade. I don't know about you guys. It looks quite warm to me. So I don't know, I might have to go and do a shade exchange. This is definitely something that I want to talk more about. Sorry to, I feel like I could just go into it now, but I don't want to take away from that upcoming video. So I will be keeping this. I also have another of the Shiseido Radiant lifting foundations. I have one of the original foundations that I'm going to talk about in a second. And I have their skin tint. So this is kind of a good time to break down all of these. This is the most radiant. This is more radiant, and then this is the most satin. So first of all, I am keeping the Radiant Lifting. I'll put that over there. And I am going to be decluttering the Self-Refreshing Tint. First of all, I can definitely see that it's kind of broken up a little bit. This was such a bummer for me. It really gave like no coverage, and it didn't feel like it was really doing a lot of blurring either. There are other more affordable options that I think have just done a much better job than this. And also it looks like the formula really has broken up. I mean, maybe I can give it a good shake, but I don't know if I even want to give this to a friend. I might have to throw it away. However, the original Shiseido Self-Refreshing Foundation is a hard yes from me. It was, you know, I loved this before they even came out with the Radiant Lifting. And the reason why is that it just has this really gorgeous, by the way, this is the shade 140 Porcelain. It just has this beautiful satiny finish. It's going to be really nice for those of you that don't want a lot of glow. To me, it's just like the most perfect long wear foundation that doesn't look awkward on the skin as you continue to wear it. Some long wear foundations can start to look heavy, drying, and this refreshes itself and doesn't begin to settle into all the lines, crack up, or even kind of melt away. It's just one of the best, guys. So highly recommend this one, especially for combo skin. If you have combination skin and you have not been able to find a foundation for you, this is really a top recommendation. So you are staying for sure. I have another e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter that I'm keeping. Now, shall we talk about this kerfuffle over here? This is the old packaging for the Soap & Glory Kick-Ass Foundation, but I can't get anything out of here. I think I was kind of keeping this as a reference for the shade, but I can't even get the shade out of it anymore. So this can finally go, but essentially The CYO Long Lasting Life Proof foundation was a holy grail of mine, and the Kick-Ass foundation from Soap and Glory was an exact dupe, like a true dupe. And you guys know I don't use that word very lightly, but I'm running low on this beloved foundation. I absolutely love it. It was like under $5, I think. One of the best formulas I've ever tried, but unfortunately the brand went out of business. Beautifully fresh. It really does remind me in some ways to the Shiseido Radiant Lifting Foundation. Just has this really beautiful creaminess, a slight blur, but it's also radiant, but not too radiant. But I do have another option for you guys if, you can't get your hands on this, which I'm pretty sure no one can. The number 7 Restore and Renew, absolutely beautiful, or even the Protect and Perfect Intense. Now, these have a very similar formula. They're not exactly the same, but I actually have found over time, I prefer the way that these look. They really are just as pretty. So either of these I think are a good bang for your buck. This is the shade Calico from the Restore and Renew. Right there. And then I also have the shade Cool Ivory from the Protect and Perfect Intense. This is definitely a little bit more pink. If you want a little more creaminess, I would say go with the Protect and Perfect. It has a texture that's a little closer to the CYO, but if you want something a little bit more serum-like, then the Restore and Renew is what I would go for. I will say though, as I've continued to use the Restore and Renew, I do wish it had more buildable coverage. That's something that I really liked about the CYO, and unfortunately, as I've continued to use it, I feel like it's not super buildable, which I do think is a bummer. I feel like it's just kind of like a 1.5 layer thing. You can't really keep building or it does start to get weird. Hopefully that's helpful for you guys. I am going to keep both, and of course I will be keeping the CYO as well. Oh, and I also have the Lift Illuminate here from number 7. I don't like this quite as much as the other two I just talked about. I do think it's good though, and I want to give it a revisit because everyone says that they really love it. So I need to make a note to revisit this again. Look at this packaging, is really beautiful, especially for an affordable product. I think more people need to talk about number 7 as a whole. I have another Armani Luminous Silk Foundation in the shade 2, so I am going to keep this. My Chanel Le Beige Water Fresh Tint. Wow, this is a good one. This is the shade Light. When I first tried this out a couple years ago, I was just blown away by it. As you mix in the serum, all of those pigment beads kind of break up and you're just left with something that literally just looks like skin. I still don't understand necessarily how they do it, but they definitely nailed it in my opinion. As far as perfect no makeup goes, I could not recommend another product more. It truly looks like skin and you're not going to see it necessarily, but it still is going to give that veil of coverage. Really an innovative product in my opinion. So we'll certainly be keeping that. That was the shade Light. Also a beautiful product for the summer. I'm thinking of getting a darker shade for the summer and applying it all over to match my self-tan to my face, just because I feel like this is perfect for that. It's not heavy on the skin. Again, just going to give you that really light, slightly perfected look. I have another one of the Tower 28 Sunny Days, and this is the shade Larchmont. It's almost out. I really like this one. I love it for like quick makeup days, like I was saying before. So I'm going to keep that. Shall we talk about IT Cosmetics a little bit here? I hope these like mini comparisons are helpful for you guys, because I think, if I was watching, I would think it's helpful. So hopefully you guys do think they're helpful. So we have the IT Cosmetics CC Cream Nude Glow, the original CC Cream, and then the Your Skin But Better Foundation and Skincare. First of all, I will say that I think this is going to go better with those of you with more combo to oily skin, though I really love it when I mix it in with a really dewy primer. This is the shade Fair Neutral, and I do want to give this another go. Again, use just like my Merit Great Skin or even my Glossier Future Dew. and retry this. I'm going to keep this and do that for you guys. A Cosmetics CC cream. This one's pretty banged up. This is the shade Fair Light, and I was using this in the summer and as a mix-in. But at this point, I know that I have a fair one over here. Exactly. That is newer, clearly. So I'm going to keep the fair, and then I'm going to declutter the Fair Light. Or even just throw it away because it's quite old now. But by the way, I was doing some comparisons side by side on my face, and I preferred the Nude Glow to the original, which kind of blows my mind. I think if you want something with a thinner texture, go with the Nude Glow, because that's the main difference that I saw between these two products. The original just has a little bit more creaminess to it, but the Nude Glow, by the way, this is the shade Fair. The Nude Glow is just a little thinner, but it still has a nice radiance and glow to it in general. I'm going to be keeping both, and I kind of want to like revisit maybe a Cosmetics as a brand. What do you guys think about that? Let me know down below for sure if you're interested in that, or even if you're not. Either way, either feedback helps me out. Okay, another product that I know I'm going to get rid of this one. This is the Youthful Glow foundation serum drops. Very similar to something like the Kosas tinted face oil, but in general, I just am not reaching for these kinds of products much anymore. I just prefer something with a touch more creaminess necessarily than like a dry oil kind of texture, so I am going to pass this along. I also have the Dermablend CC Continuous Correction. By the way, this is not a tester that I just took home with me. They sent this to me, but it had a tester tag on it, which I thought was kind of bizarre. I mean, there's a good chance that they were just trying to get rid of their tester inventory before it expired. Yeah, because this is just about to expire. So I'm just gonna go ahead and declutter this. Just a little too thick for me. And I'm also going to declutter the Unfoundation Glow Tint from Undone Beauty. This is not a bad product, but it is just way too light and way too pink for me, as you can see. And I do, I do wish that there was a little something more to this. Now, the e.l.f. Tinted Hydrator. This is a good product. It's the shade Light. I like using this in the summer, this shade in particular, but I will say as I've continued to wear it, it does get a little heavy as you keep wearing it. That's just something I've found. I really, really loved it when I started using it. And maybe it's just that I always am using it when I have an awkward shade. Like, obviously, I don't self-tan my face, and this would be when I'm self-tanning. And sometimes when I do that, I'm not like 100% on the foundation, so maybe I will declutter this and then potentially pick up a lighter shade for me. I'm also going to be decluttering these two products, the Chanel Ultra Le Tint. Just what a meh formula. I much prefer some of Chanel's other products, like the Water Fresh Tint. I think this is definitely one of Chanel's least impressive launches as far as formulation goes. So I am going to declutter that, and I'm also going to declutter the e.l.f. BB cream. Not to be confused with their CC cream. I actually like this formula a little bit more from e.l.f., but I'm just not reaching for it. So I'm going to pass it along. All right, I'm definitely decluttering a few more foundations now, which is good. Just to keep these two. So these are my Kogendo Aqua foundations. Actually, is there anything left in this one? Oh, there is. That's why I need to like put this out and get it gone, because I can tell this one's older and more messy. But I don't know, guys. It's so expensive, but consistently it is beautiful. It just looks like perfected skin, but it's really buildable, and as you continue to build it and add more coverage, you can get a very perfected look without it looking like a lot of makeup, which I don't know about you, that to me makes this ideal for those events that you need to look good in photos but also look good in person and still look like your skin is breathing. So, weddings, again, event kind of makeup, I do think that it's one of the best, and I have loved it for years. It's expensive, yes. I think it's actually overpriced at some point, but I do keep buying it. So I don't know what that says. That just, I really, really like it. I am going to be retiring this L'Oreal True Match Nude. I don't think it's a bad product. I really don't, but it does, there are certain situations where I feel like it looks a little heavy around my nose, and I don't really have the desire to necessarily keep trying it. Again, like, I know a lot of people love it, and I, you know, as I was wearing it, I could understand why, but there are just other, like, you guys just saw how many foundations I have. There's just others that I'm reaching for more. I don't know, like, maybe I give it like one more go. You know what? Maybe this will be the foundation that I leave up to you guys. Like, do I keep this? Do I declutter it? Do you want to keep hearing about it? Do you not? I really like kind of making you guys a part of this. By the way, this was the shade 0.5 to 2. So let me know about this one. Got caught up in the mix. Keeping all 3 of these. It's just another Shiseido Self-Refreshing, another CYO, and then another shade of the Rare Beauty. Actually, what I'm going to do with the Rare Beauty is keep 16C, and then I think this is 12C. Honestly, I'll figure out this in a second. For now, I'm going to declutter 12C and keep 16C. And I'm going to keep these 2. This is the shade 3 from the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter. I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one just because it's quite peachy. We have some stick foundations here. Certainly keeping the shade Cream from Merit. I really, really like this one as just a quick out the door stick foundation. I actually think it looks really natural on the skin, which is not something I was expecting from this. I might keep that in my car. Like, that would be really nice just to have something on hand. And then I also have the Westman Atelier foundation. I really, really love this foundation, but I need to figure out what shade I want to keep. So this is the shade number 2 right there. And I also have the shade number 3. I think I was using the shade 3 in the summer. Ooh, yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and keep the shade number 3 and use this as a summertime foundation because I am kind of running low on those. And then I'm going to pass along this shade, the shade number 2, because it's not really a perfect shade match for me. It's kind of in that like middle ground. I'd rather keep the shade 3 and I know it looked good when I'm self-tanning rather than this one that might still get lost in the shuffle. This has such a nice kind of velvety look on the skin. It's expensive, but it definitely feels luxurious. Keeping all of these. Keeping all of these. Actually, what shades are these? I have the shade 110. There we go. I have the shade 100 right there. Then I also have the shade 120. I kind of like to mix and match these. I can get away with any of them on their own, except for maybe the lightest shade. I tend to not use that one. I think 110 and 120 are what I reach for more. I just love the Revealer foundation. It is just so good, you guys. I love it because it feels like that true glowy foundation that you build up and it just looks like really healthy skin, but delivers on the coverage aspect. And it still has this kind of similar finish that the Revealer concealer has that I really like, in that it's just very light reflecting and beautifying. It's just one of those really nice medium coverage, fresh looking products. And when I know my skin isn't doing well, I know that this will look good. So I love makeup products like that. Really, I think it's within my top 5 foundations. I have another one of the Protect and Perfect from number 7. This is the shade Calico. So I might declutter one of these shades, I think. All right, everyone, we are in the home stretch here. I just have a few more foundations. And honestly, I'm really sorry to do this, but I do think I need to do a part 2 to cover concealers because I have been filming for so long and I already know this is going to be over an hour long. But make sure that you are subscribed for that part 2 and I'll get into the nitty-gritty with my concealers. The original MAC Face and Body, this is going to finally be decluttered because I have the MAC Studio Radiance somewhere around here. Yeah, I have product that I don't even know where it is. So that is going to go, and then Studio Radiance is going to stay. The formulas are almost exactly the same, which is why I feel comfortable decluttering it, because I was keeping that product as a reference point and kind of a library item, but I don't need to do that anymore. Now, the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin Foundation is one that I'm going to keep. I do feel like it's kind of getting into the library section. I do like it, and I actually retried it on Kaki's recommendation with a different primer, and I thought it looked nice. But I still, you know, if there's other products that I love more, it's hard for me to reach for something that just looks nice. So I think I might keep this for a Lisa Eldridge overview video and then potentially pass it along. I will say the packaging is so beautiful, really, really pretty. But just know that it's not one that I would recommend you guys like run out and buy right away. I have actually really been loving this Estee Lauder Futurist Hydra Rescue. I haven't really talked about it yet, but it does remind me a little bit of the Nude Glow from IT Cosmetics, like a similar formula. Sits very closely on the skin, gives great coverage. Overall, I think it's really pretty. So I am going to keep that. And I think, I originally bought the True Match quite recently actually, to see how it compared to the House Labs, which I personally think that there's some similarities here. But then I saw that L'Oreal just reformulated their True Match. Do you want me to do a comparison between this formula and the new one? If not, then I will declutter this. But if you do want to see that video, let me know down below. I definitely am needing your help a little bit. Hopefully you guys understand. And lastly, I have never spent more money on one foundation in my life. It is the Chanel Sublimage Lit Tint. Though it is pretty, I do wish that it looked a little bit more forgiving on certain dry spots that I have. I just wish it was a touch more glowy. That's all I'm saying. And I would much rather recommend other Chanel foundations to you guys than this one. I think the next time I see Kaki, I'm going to give this to her because I know that she will get a lot of use out of it. Bring it on over into her collection. Just because now that I think about it, there's so much product here. So I should probably declutter this. All right, let's start adding in the products that I'm going to be keeping. So this is all that I'm going to be keeping, you guys. It actually, I did pare down. I would say at least a 30% cut, which I don't think is half bad for this being something that I like to specialize in and like to have a decently sized collection for. And now for the items that I'm going to pass along. All right, so here they all are. And I also have a couple that did not fit in here. And this is all of the items that I am decluttering. These really fit so nicely in here. Very satisfying for me. Next up on the docket will be my concealer collection. And I actually just realized that I wouldn't be able to do this concealer declutter anyway because I don't know where my Kosas Revealer concealers are. It happens because I'm using them almost daily. I think there's one in my boyfriend's car and he's not here. A couple of them are in like random makeup bags. It so happens that I always have like 2 or 3 on hand and then I can't find them. But that video will be coming very soon for you guys. So make sure you're subscribed if you want to see me dive into my concealer collection. You have more sunken under eyes and in general more hollow under eyes, and that's not to be confused with actual darkness. And a lot of concealers tend to exaggerate that. It's definitely a need that I have, so I'm excited to dive into that with you guys in that video. As a whole, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for being here. I will try and leave every product that I talked about in today's video down below. Thank you again for being here, and I will see you in my next one. And now I think there's like a little bird outside being kind of loud if you guys want to hear it. Anyway, thanks for being here, guys, and I'll see you in my next one.